We gave you who we anticipate being elite next year need to be. We're going to tell you 3 names that are going to break out this year for Georgia Bulldogs. Next, Locked On Bulldogs.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. He is Clint. I am Daniel. Happy to be back with you here on this Tuesday. Today's episode brought to you by the fine folks over at Nissan. Shop now at nissanusa.com. More on them in a moment. Clint.
Yeah.
We're talking about, first of all, if you're a first listener, if you make us your first listen of the day, if you're an everydayer, thanks so much for being here. If you're a loyal third segment listener, I think people have come to realize we do our best work in the third segment, Clint. I think that's where people know the bread is buttered in the third segment. You understand?
It's the best of all the segments, Daniel. Okay.
It really is. If I could do all third segments, I would.
If it's
Honestly,
like
I'm just filling time to get to the third
segment. Black and white cookie of cookies, if you will.
It is.
It adds the best of all, banter and knowledge in one.
Mm-hmm. It really does. And so we are talking today about 3 names that we believe are due for a breakout season at the University of Georgia. Now, these are going to be names where you've not seen a lot or heard a lot from these guys so far. But we expect that you're going to continue to see a lot and hear a lot from them in 2025 moving forward because we have high expectations for them. And so, Clint, let's start. And I'm going to start with a player on the edge.
Here we go.
We are excited about. So we talked about how Georgia loses Damon Wilson on the edge, goes to Missouri, and that's a transfer that hurts Georgia. It's a loss for Georgia. Georgia also has Gabe Harris coming back, and we like Gabe Harris a lot. Not a candidate for a breakout player, Clint, because we've seen Gabe Harris. We know what he can do. Georgia also coming in off the edge has one of the more exciting true freshmen on this year's team, and his name is Isaiah Gibson. He is also not my candidate for breakout player.
No.
I'm going with Quintavious Johnson.
Here we go.
Redshirt freshman / sophomore, not redshirt freshman. I'll get to that in a second. Sophomore. Outside linebacker from the Atlanta area, second year on campus. Quintavious Johnson, Clint, 3-star kid, not a highly recruited player.
No.
Isaiah Gibson, as I just mentioned, 5-star, number 1 edge player in the country in the 2025 class. Listen, Quintavious Johnson played in every single game for Georgia last year.
He did.
He played on special teams. We talked about this when we did the outside linebacker show. Kirby Smart believes. He doesn't just think. He believes that special teams are the way that you acclimate yourself to SEC football and show yourself to be ready to play SEC football. You don't have to wonder what the coaching staff thinks about Quintavious Johnson. They have already told you. He was a true freshman last year, and he traveled to every away game. He made every travel squad as a true freshman at a position where he didn't sniff the field on defense. But he played and he contributed on special teams. And you and I might think that that is not that important. But that's why you and I are not coaching the University of Georgia football team and have 0 national championships to our collective credit.
Correct.
Quintavious Johnson is the guy that this coaching staff expects to see more of. And that's why I expect him to be rotating heavily in off the edge, getting snaps, I think you are going to see a very productive season out of this kid. And I expect big things. I mean, this he's 6'4", he's 255.
Yeah.
He's got speed, he's got athleticism. He was not highly recruited, played at a smaller school, and Georgia got him. First of all, when Georgia signs a 3-star kid,
What does that usually mean, Daniel? What does that mean for Kirby Smart and his understanding? Again, not our understanding or the industry understanding of these kids,
no,
but when he gets a 3-star and they play every game, Daniel,
as a true freshman.
as a true freshman.
I mean, we could go back through the list, right? Couldn't we? DeAndre Baker,
Hey,
3-star kid. Like when Kirby Smart signs a 3-star and he plays every game on special teams as a true freshman, I know this is going to shock some people.
Okay.
The industry got it really wrong about him. Like, really wrong. And so I'm not going to be all that worried about what other people think about Quintavious Johnson. I'm going to settle and rest in the fact that Georgia wanted him and Georgia got him. And oh, by the way, like they beat out some other really solid schools for him. Okay. It's not like, again, just because the industry has you as a 3-star, because again, you go to Mays High School in Atlanta, like you're not playing at one of the bigger Georgia, like premium football factories. This kid, Quintavious Johnson's good. I like him a lot. And I think he's going to be really good for Georgia this year.
I think you're right. Many people would say Gabe Harris, right? They would jump on and say, well, Gabe Harris, we haven't seen much of, and rightfully so. I think he is a talented player but you're talking about breaking onto the scene, just absolutely gangbusters. Johnson played a lot last year, but he also didn't play the major role. He was getting the special teams. He was getting some duty on the back end of games. I think a year in the program, 2 years in the program, I think the weight room, not hitting that red shirt, getting the playing time, and truth be told, Daniel, when I see guys leave the program, this is going to go into name number 2 for me.
Here we go.
When guys leave the program, it's a big, we talked about, Damon Wilson was a loss. That's not fun for us. We wish he was still here. We can't say, but there is a reason that he not only wanted the bag, he wanted to go ahead and show more tape to get a bigger bag to come. So typically it's a very crowded room. Now, I think guys like Jalen Walker, Michael Williams, they had a crowded room and they came back and they played. And I think they're going to go top 15, top 20, where other guys don't. There's pressure. And Johnson is a pressure guy. He is a guy that makes you feel his presence in the room, on the field. I love this name for a breakout player. And truth be told, he breaks out next to Gabe Harris, next to the rotation with all the other linebackers we got going on, Daniel. Guys who are between 6'3" and 6'5" and 225 and 255 in Georgia, who are absolute animals on the defensive side of the ball. That's a good list of players we got right now. And that demographic is loaded for us. Quintavious is one of them. We're going to come back after these and let you know of another name that we anticipate to break out. But first, these. And these are, in fact, Nissan. Each week, our Locked On basketball experts are picking one team that stands apart from the top-seeded stars and unexpected upsets. These guys showcase their strength and sheer power needed to push their team forward. The team of the week this week,
Georgia
Armada, and clear-cut team of the week are the Duke Blue Devils. The Blue Devils were plus 434 points in ACC games the largest point differential by a power conference team in league play since Kentucky in 53-54. When it comes to the Nissan Armada, they say go forth and conquer, and that's exactly what the Duke Blue Devils have done here. It's clear that our team of the week is out here, ready to conquer the road and ahead with confidence, just like you can in the all-new Nissan Armada or any of the Nissan outstanding vehicles. Take the Nissan Armada, Rogue, or Pathfinder. Go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. Daniel, you gave us Quintavious Johnson as a name that we need to go ahead and look at for a breakout player this coming year. I'm going to name another player that we didn't see a lot of. I need to couch this a little bit because we talked on yesterday's podcast that the two positions of need that Georgia and Kirby Smart identified, wide receiver and safety. We went on, got 3 transfers, 6 total on those 2 positions to add depth to a group. Now, this player comes from the wide receiver position. I say breakout because if you have the ability to have an 85% catch success rate on this team, you will be a breakout wide receiver for this team.
Whoopsies.
It's a low bar. However, I don't think it's just because of a low bar. I actually think it's because this guy is insanely talented. He's going to have a crowded room to get through, and he's going to have to do well. But if I know anything, he stuck through it. He stayed. He didn't transfer when other guys did.
Hello.
And he's still around because, y'all, Nitro Tuggle's a dude. Like I know we got CJ Wiley coming in. We got Talon Taylor coming in, which I do think they contribute this year. Daniel, I do not think those cats sit on the bench at all. They're going to be in the rotation. I'm going to list to you the top 6 wide receivers for me on this team. Okay. I think Branch and Thomas, the transfer coming in, get a lot of play, upperclassmen, very talented guys. I then think next, Tuggle is going to be in there with some combination of Humphreys and Dylan Bell. But those 2 guys are more interchangeable to me. The next 2 names on the list, CJ and Talon, of that list, Nitro Tuggle has the most continuity. 2 transfers coming in, Dylan Bell and Humphreys notwithstanding. I get it. 2 freshman guys. So 2 top transfers, 2 freshmen. Nitro Tuggle has the talent ahead of Bell, ahead of Humphreys, has more understanding of the offense compared to 2 freshmen, but 2 transfers coming in. He knows the system. He knows what's expected. He knows the language. He has the rapport and the talent that has been recruited ever since he came out of high school, and we've been waiting for it. And this just in, another guy left the program because I think he saw a crowded, not only incoming, but a crowded returning group. Evans goes elsewhere. And again, we say good luck, go have fun, do your best, because I think Tuggle was a major contributor in that. I anticipate him, Daniel. I don't know where he's going to land on the statistical categories of this team and wide receivers, but dang it all to heck if he ain't going to have some of these absolute stand up on your feet, hooping and hollering plays for us. Because this guy, to me, has both the worlds of the talent of the high recruiting level and continuity and understanding the offense and trust of Kirby Smart. That's why he's back. That's why he's here. And I know wide receivers, and we need it from him. Oh, we need it from him. He's for breakout.
Yeah, I don't hate this at all. I think here's what I will say about Nitro Tuggle. I think you're absolutely right on the talent. I think you're absolutely right on the opportunity. I think you're absolutely right that this is his time at Georgia. I will say this. There's a spring transfer portal window.
Yep.
In the middle of April.
Yes, sir.
If that window closes and Nitro Tuggle is still on this team, listen carefully. I guarantee you he will be one of the most productive wide receivers on Georgia's roster. I guarantee it. Because if he does not have a pathway to that, he is going to leave the program. Like, if the signs are clear that he ain't it, and that James Coley and Mike Bobo and company are more enamored with other guys and do not have, he is not priority 1, he is going to leave. So Georgia fans need to be prepared
You
that
got
Nitro Tuggle may transfer out in the spring transfer window. But if he stays, that should tell you, A, he likes to compete and he's tough and he's like whatever. But it should also tell you, B, oh, he expects that he's going to be a big time contributor to Georgia's offense this year.
All of a sudden, now my understanding, he makes it through that portal when he comes out of G-Day. All of a sudden, he's sticking with the program. My understanding of Branch and Thomas now are more, they don't play the same type of football. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the trust in the coaches is probably far closer to each other. And their rotation, they'll find guys to be the Thomas when Branch is on the field or the Branch when Thomas is on the field, because I think those two guys split more playing time because guys like Tuggle, also guys like White. I think if you're looking at it, a comp for Branch, it's closer to White than it is anything else. I think the guys like maybe Dylan Bell go ahead and take a step back. I would prefer it if our 3 starting wide receivers, if I was the coach, which I'm not, and again, thank goodness, because I'm an idiot. But if I had a crystal ball and I could make things happen, it would be Branch, it would be Tuggle, and it would be Thomas. Those would be my 3 starting wide receivers. And if we come out of spring and Nitro Tuggle is on this team, it's because he anticipates, I'm going to have an offense that is explosive using my skill set. And his skill set is not just take the top off. His skill set is a crisp route runner with elite speed, yes.
Yeah.
But I think we use it just because it's easy, because we have an understanding of it. But the AD comps for me are more akin to Nitro Tuggle. AD was a dang good receiver for us who, had some good top end speed and who could go get deep ball, but it was the contested catches a lot. It was crisp route running on the outside. We've been missing that extremely. We've been missing a lot from the wide receiver room, thus the transfers. But he brings an element in, and if he can assure himself of that, especially with whoever. Oh, this is an interesting question, Daniel.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Do you think the quarterback decision, Puglisi or Stockton?
Not a decision in my mind, but I'll entertain you for this segment. Sure.
Just entertain me.
Okay.
Daniel, thank you. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all know Justin Fields was the greatest quarterback that has ever come through Georgia.
He was the backup quarterback at Georgia, so he was everyone's favorite.
Yes.
Everyone knows that. Gunnar Stockton, for a long time, was the greatest quarterback to ever do anything. And then you put him in the game one time, and people are like, this Ryan Puglisi kid, I think he's probably going to contend for the job.
Do you think this is more of a question, the capital that we invested in wide receivers coming in, do you think their rapport with the quarterback carries more weight this year than in previous years, Daniel?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's the kind of thing that Kirby and company are going to really be looking at. I think the investment that we made in the wide receivers this year is, and I am just speculating here, because we want people who can catch the football. I think that is probably the primary motivator, if I could be honest. And so I do think rapport with the quarterback, but these guys are going to get plenty of reps in. I think this whole team already knows that this is Gunner's team. You saw how guys were responding to him last year in the SEC championship game when he came in. And so I think it's more than just the wide receivers. I think this whole locker room is already pro Gunnar Stockton. And so, like, if you're going to go down that route, like, I think the offensive line, the tight ends, like the running backs, like, I think all these guys are probably I'm sure Puglisi is not disliked by any of his teammates, but I think this is Gunner's team, and everybody kind of knows that, unless things start to go south, unless things aren't going great.
You heard it here first from a guru and insider who has knowledge of the situation. Daniel Monroe calling for starting position in quarterback competition closed right now.
If anyone wants to bet me on the game one starter for Georgia at quarterback, I would love to place a wager with them. I'll take Gunnar Stockton.
Hey, Buck, give us a call.
Give us a call if you have inside information and you know for a fact that due to a family illness, someone is going to have to retire. Give us a call and we would love to place a wager on who the starting quarterback is going to be at Georgia. Yeah, I would love to do that. Listen, I love the name Nitro Tuggle. I think he is a candidate for a breakout player. If he is here in the fall, I'm telling you, he will be a breakout player for Georgia. If he's not, he's going to be a breakout player for somebody else, and that's really going to suck. Yeah. I got one more name for you, and spoiler alert, it is 2 names.
But first, I want to let you know about Roy. Daniel, Roy is fantastic because NIL makes things so complicated. Roy gets you into direct support of the favorite athletes over at Georgia.
Silas Emery.
Now you can.
These are the athletes you should be supporting through Roy, by the way.
The Roy app puts NIL into your hands. Before Roy, NIL deals were often handed behind closed doors. Fans like you and I didn't have a clear way of directly supporting the players you love. Now with Roy, you can make real impact and feel closer to the athletes representing Georgia. With Roy, you get to choose the player you want to support, decide how much, and get content straight from the athletes. Support your favorite players directly to help shape the future of Mike White and the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yes.
Download the Roy app now from the App Store and start backing Georgia athletes the way that they deserve with transparency, trust, and real impact. This is the future of college sports. Join it now by downloading the Roy app and supporting your favorite players. You got
threw me there. I didn't know. I was waiting for an and, but there was no and. I got a 2-for-1 special, Clint.
Well, you have an and I have an and. Mike White is going to ruin somebody's tournament run. Maybe 2 people's tournament runs. I don't know how
to God's ears.
I don't know how many people Mike White going to be pissing off. It's going to be a lot of people.
Josh, he already pissed him off earlier in the year because he couldn't perform in the second half. So, dog stats. How are we feeling now? We're good though now, right?
We're good now.
We're good now.
We're good now because Dog Stats has decided to take one for the team and not watch the Dogs play.
Hey, he's going to watch that NCAA tournament game. So if we lose in the first round, Josh, we know what happened.
I know where you live, Josh.
Okay. I'm going to give you a 2-for-1. Breakout players for Georgia. And I had to go 2 on this one, Clint, because A, I feel so strongly about these guys, and B, they're a year apart in terms of recruiting classes, but last season at least was such a similar story for both of them. Both lost to injury. One lost the bulk of the season on the front end to injury, and the other lost the second half of the season because of an injury sustained in the middle of the year and an off-season surgery. I'm going to go 2-for-1 on the defensive line.
Okay.
And it is Joseph Jonah Ajonye and Jordan Hall. Yeah,
this is
Clint.
The name.
I've been beating the Jordan Hall drum for a while now. And I'm here to tell you, I wasn't wrong last year.
You were not.
He had a leg injury and did not play until November of the season. Like,
that's great.
I'm not sure if you've ever been in the trenches in a college football game, but the legs are an important part of the equation. Okay. Like that's how the man does his business in there. And so with the injury, Jordan Hall wasn't able to participate and to go, full speed last year. But guys, there's been a lot of really good recruits to come to Georgia. Elijah Griffin is one this year, but there's nobody that's got a better resume than Jordan Hall. And he looked good as a freshman.
Yep.
But on that freshman team, again, like playing time was a little tough to come by. This last year was supposed to be the year. He took a red shirt in this sophomore season when this was supposed to be his breakout year. And man, Clint, if we were to have described the Georgia defense in one word last year.
Okay.
What was that word consistently over and over and over again last year?
4 letters.
Mm-hmm.
And
we said a lot of 4-letter words watching the Georgia defense.
I was throwing many things while expletives flew.
Yeah.
Like I was fixing the plumbing down below before Christmas in my basement. It was soft, Daniel. They were
a
soft.
unit. It was a soft defense. Well, do you think that has to do with the fact that it's best interior defensive linemen? I know Warren Brinson and Nazir Stackhouse are damn good dogs.
They are.
The most talented, best interior defensive lineman on the team was injured and barely played the entire season. I'm telling you, it's now been 3 years that the young man's been on campus. This is his 3rd season. Don't sleep on Jordan Hall. He is coming for your offensive lineman.
Y'all realize we forget this. We get enamored because we're people of the present. We're victims of the present. We get all wrapped up in our emotions. Let me hearken and remind you, Daniel, that this 6'4", over 320-pound monster was at the time coming out of high school the 2nd best defensive lineman, not in the state and not at his position, but in the nation. Daniel, okay? A top upper crust guy, a 5-star through and through, absolute lineman eating terror, Jordan Hall. That's who he was, okay? This guy has day 1 written all over him in a draft. He, same dude that teams that need just trench warfare will come down to Georgia, say, Kirby, who's the dude? He's going to point to Hall and be like, oh, you mean that man who moves anybody he wants to with ease? Yeah, I would take him if I were you. Gets off the ball quick, cat-like reflexes, uses his hands, and yes, the leg injury, the lingering, nagging, horrible thing is put to rest.
Yeah.
He going to collapse a pocket.
Jordan Hall's going to be a menace this year. He's going to be a beast. Will not get off this horse. This is my guy. He was my guy last year, and the injury derailed virtually the entire season. He's my guy again this year. Nothing has changed. He will be the best defensive lineman on Georgia's team. Christian Miller has been consistently great. Christian Miller is the C.J. Allen of the defensive line, Clint, to go back to yesterday's show. No, nothing against him. You need guys like that.
Glad he's here.
But Jordan Hall is a different type of player. And I think Joseph Jonah is as well. Also, he had a neck injury in the Texas game and had to have surgery. Wasn't a neck injury, I don't think. It was some sort of an injury in the Texas game. Had to have surgery. He'll be back and should be a full strength this year. Also was able to take a red shirt last year, but got some meaningful snaps in there. And I think is a guy that, again, as he gets acclimated to the system, he's got some things that you just can't teach, Clint.
No, he really doesn't. That's an intriguing aspect or a prospect for us. If he puts it together with skill and technique, he's a trench monster. Well, these guys side by side. Look, I know we got Xavier McLeod. I know I got Christian Miller. I get it. I understand. Those are huge pieces for us. Okay.
These two guys we get to this season, the more I'm talking myself into this defensive line may be elite. It may be elite, Clint.
I'm just telling you all right now. I have told Daniel on just over 100 occasions at this point. 2021, 2022 were historic. I get it. I understand. Yeah. This defense, y'all, it cooking something. Okay, it's cooking something, and I'm not going to be irreverent towards those guys on that team, but there's a lot of similarities for me. When I look at this team,
sure.
I look the talent and how they got here. Some things I just observe. Patterns are everywhere, y'all. Just look for them.
We're just taking them in.
Just taking them in. He is Daniel. I am Clint. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast. Your team every single day. We'll see y'all tomorrow. We talk about more Bulldogs and the Mike White Cook machine that is
SEC
still on.
tournament time. Let's go.
We'll see y'all later.